Hey, what's up, everyone? Hope y'all are doing well today. So, I wanted to show off my PlayStation 3 collection today. I have quite a few PS3 games. I'm looking at them right now. I got 4 stacks of PS3 games. I also do have a couple of loose disc ones, like ones without the case or manual and case. Um, those titles are Lost Planet 3 and Lego Batman 2. Just so y'all know. And there might be one other, might be The Walking Dead Season 2 for PS3, um, which I know that that game came out on multiple platforms. It was on PS3 and Xbox 360, but then they later on ported it to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One because it was a late title. It was like a 2014 game or something. I think the first one came out in 2012. But yeah, I've been collecting more so on the 360, the Xbox 360, because with the Xbox 360, you buy the game, you pop it in the machine, and then you're playing it in just a matter of minutes. Whereas the PS3, you got to sit there and install some of these games, and I think that that is just horrendous. I hate that, you know. So that's one of the reasons why I kind of gravitate more towards the 360, the Xbox 360, from 2 generations ago. Because I know we're on like the ninth or the 10th generation of consoles now. So that's why. Give me a second. I gotta clean my glasses off. Yeah, so that's basically why um, I haven't bought very many new PS3 games. Honestly, I'm content on games. I got quite a few that I still haven't had a chance to play. About 200 titles or so that I still need to play. And actually really get into them. Not just sit down and play for 20 minutes and then I'm done. Like actually get through the entire game. But that would take hours, because games, they take hours to beat. Some of them take longer than others, too. So, anyways, let's not waste your time. You guys came to see the games. I'm going to go through all these games. I may not be able to talk about every single one just to save some time. I mean, I'd like to keep this video at about 40 minutes or so, 45 minutes. Not be in the hour range where it's like hour and 10, hour and 20 minutes. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm wondering, got 4 piles here. I'll start with this pile. I got Little Big Planet 2 right here. I have 2 copies of Little Big Planet 2. One of them I'm trying to sell with a bunch of other games that I don't really want or need. There's a couple of sports games in there, and some ones that I don't need. Army of Two, the 40th Day, and the Devil's Cartel. I already have those for 360, so I don't need the PS3 versions of that. That's just another example. Anyways, this is a very good game. Honestly, I was surprised by it. It's a creative platformer type of game where you play a Sackboy. I know Sony needed another mascot. They needed something to compete with Mario. And Sackboy may not be as cool as Mario, but the gameplay is still fun. You know, Honestly, when I first saw gameplay of this game, I was like, the game looks really stupid. But then when I actually played it, I saw the charm in this game. It's very creative. So, and I like the graphics and the art style of the game as well too. So, overall, Little Big Planet is surprisingly good. And they also made Little Big Planet 1, which I also have here. And Little Big Planet 3 surprisingly did come out on PS3, but it was a late release, so they ported the third game to the PS4. And there's also Little Big Planet Karting and and they put the first Little Big Planet game on the PSP as well, but it was the same game as the first game, so you don't really need both versions of it unless you like to play it handheld. I have the first one in here somewhere. We will find it eventually. They're all mixed up. I didn't I didn't alphabetize any of this. Virtua Fighter 5, I thought it was a pretty good game, good fighting game. Enjoyable, hard as hell. You can, you know, I don't know what it is about fighting games, but I used to be really good at fighting games. Now it just seems like I get destroyed in fighting games. Like, I don't know. I guess I suck at fighting games. But this is a good game. It's a shame that we haven't seen Virtua Fighter come back in like 15 years or something. 16 years, you know? It's crazy that it's been that long. Like, this game came out in 2007 for PS3 and Xbox 360. After this, it's like, no more Virtua Fighter. We're getting Soul Calibur, we're getting Mortal Kombat, we're getting Guilty Gear still, and Blaze Blue might be making another game soon. But no Virtua Fighter. Just makes no sense whatsoever. I don't understand it. But overall, good game. I like it. Oh, this is just a case, a loose case. I think I had a disc in here once. It was Lego Batman too, but I put it in that case behind me. This thing over here. Here's one I picked up from TJ Buys and Sells. It was complete, and I haven't played it yet. It's called Genji Days of the Blade for PS3. I have played Dawn of the Samurai on PlayStation 2. That was a really good game. I like that. But I never played this one. I did notice one difference though. This one's rated T for teen. The original version, the first game, it's rated M for mature. So I guess they toned down the violence in this game to make it T, you know. But it's like a samurai beat 'em up game, hack and slash type of game, and it's pretty good, you know. Surprised they haven't made a third one by now, or maybe they did, and I'm unaware of that. Here's one I picked up at Hub Chew, from Hub Chew, I mean. Dark Souls. I had the second one and the third one on PS4, but I didn't have the first one, so I went ahead and picked it up. About $12. I mean, can't go wrong with that, you know. I actually think it was 10, but there was like $5 shipping, so it was about 15. But for $15, you really can't go wrong for this game. I've heard, excuse me, I've heard this game's hard as hell though. Like, it's just one of those games where you can only take a couple of hits and then you're dead, you know, and you have to start from a checkpoint, or you have to start from the beginning of the level, which that usually frustrates the hell out of me, you know. But I am willing to give it a try and see how it is, you know. I've heard good things. I can say that much. I've heard good things. Oh, here's one I have loose disc. Red Faction Armageddon. I forgot I had this. This was when the series went downhill, to be honest with y'all. The first two on PlayStation 2, and I know that the second one was also on GameCube and Xbox, were excellent games. They were both great first-person shooter games. Then Red Faction Guerrilla came out and really changed the Red Faction franchise, made it more of a third-person shooter with exploration and, you know, like blowing things up, like the environments and shit. But the third game was still pretty good, in my opinion. This one, unfortunately, kind of sucks. Oh yeah, I had this too. These are some of the ones that I picked up from Matthew, Gimpy Ninja Gaming, before he stopped selling me games and stuff. I literally have all the Street Fighter 4 games. I have all three versions of it now. I got Super Street Fighter 4, the arcade edition. I have this version. I have the Street Fighter 4 regular version, and I think Turbo version. I have all three of them. That's a pretty good game, by the way. Here's some others I picked up from Matthew when we did a trade like a year ago. Disgaea 3 and Disgaea 4. Both great strategy, tactical RPG games on the PS3. I know that they were also on the PS Vita as well. Great games, a lot of fun. They're up to Disgaea 6, I believe, now. Disgaea 6, I believe, is on PS5, Nintendo Switch, and Xbox Series X, I believe. But yeah, they're great games. Really fun. I recommend them. I like the art style in them. Very pretty looking. Very colorful, and it's definitely not action art. Yeah, it's not action RPG like say the Elder Scrolls series, because it's one of those games where you attack the enemy, and then you use another character to attack the enemy, and then they attack you. You get like 2 turns or something, or 3 turns to attack that enemy. Just hope and pray that you're not the one that ends up dead. You know, that's what you hope for. But yeah, I like them. Pretty good games. Definitely recommend them if you want some RPG games for the PlayStation 3. The first 2 were on the PlayStation 2. I own the first one on PlayStation 2. I don't own the second one. From what I remember, I don't own that one. And the 5th one, as I said, is on Nintendo Switch and PS4 and Xbox One, I believe. It might be on PS3 as well, but I'm not entirely sure. Super Street Fighter 4. Good game. Ma Nation Racers. Not bad. Not a bad racing game. It does have some fun. It's one of those games where it's like a kind of like a Mario Kart game, except for like you build your car first and you do shit, and then after that you take it for a race. I didn't mind it. Not a terrible game. It does have a little bit of simulation in it, which I fucking hate. I don't like simulated bullshit in my racing games. I usually am turned off about it. Like with Gran Turismo, I don't like the Gran Turismo games. I'm sorry, but I know a lot of people love them. I could not get into the Gran Turismo games. Just couldn't. And the same with the Forza series. Can't get into them because they're just too simulated for me, you know? I like more arcadey racing games where I can just hop in, play the fucking game, race without any of this bullshit of building a car, um, getting a license, doing this shit and that shit and the other shit, and then finally getting to play the fucking game. Like, I am not into that, you know? It takes too much grinding. But, yeah, this was okay. Didn't have a whole lot of simulation. A little bit with the customization of the cars, but overall it wasn't overly annoying for me. So it was okay. It was an okay racing game. Cartoon Mario Kart type of racing game. Except that Sony was trying to do some things differently than Nintendo. You know, so games like Mod Nation Racers, kart racing game to compete against Nintendo. Killzone 2 and 3, first-person shooter to compete against Halo, and we'll say Red Steel and the Conduit, because those were first-person shooter games on the Wii. And then you had the Ratchet and Clank games for PS3, and the Devil May Cry series, which started out as a PlayStation exclusive, but later on went to Xbox 360 and Xbox One. And then Infamous and Uncharted. Those were some other ones that Sony came up with. So they had a ton of different like mascot type of things for you to choose from back in this era. It was really great because like Xbox, all they really had was Gears of War, and Halo. And the Wii really only had Mario and Zelda and Sonic. And Kirby. That's it. You know. But anyways, this game was okay. Not bad. Oh, I finally found it in the stack. This game I didn't get to show in the top 15 best licensed games because I couldn't find it at the time. But I guess I finally found it now. That's the Chronicles of Riddick, Assault on Dark Athena, and it also includes Escape from Butcher Bay, which is nice. This game I got many, many years ago from a friend. His name's Richie. No, not Richie Quindle, my new friend Richie. It was a different Richie. Richie Adgley or something. I haven't talked to him in years. I don't know what happened to him, but years upon years ago, like back in like 2013, his brother was trying to sell off all of his PS3 games to get a PS4, and I bought a bunch of games from him, and I still held on to this game to this day. It's a great game. It's a really good like action adventure type of game where you play as a guy who ends up in prison and you have no intentions of staying there whatsoever. You want out. So you eventually get out of your cell. You fight some cellmates. Some of the cellmates you don't want to fight though because they will kick your ass. Other cellmates, you talk to not to fight with them, but to find out how the hell you're gonna get out of there. How do you get a shiv? How do you get a knife? How do you get a gun? Like, how am I going to get out of this prison? And so the first game, you're in prison trying to escape, and you get to explore the levels and stuff. It's interesting. It's a good game, plays well. Get the voice of Vin Diesel in the game. For a licensed game, this was one of the best licensed games that you could get. Honestly, it's great. And the sequel, Assault on Dark Athena, is also a good game as well. It still holds up pretty well. Still plays really well. It's good. Overall, this was a good licensed game, and it's only about 10 to 15 bucks, maybe 20 bucks on eBay. It's also available on Xbox 360 as well. From one good licensed game to another, we got another good one. X-Men Origins Wolverine. This one is the M-rated version. The 360 version is also mature because of the blood and gore, intense violence, and language is what it says. So you might hear the word fuck and shit said in this game, and blood splatter, from slicing people's necks and things like that, killing them with your claws and stuff. The movie people like to bash a lot and talk shit about, say that it's a terrible movie. I didn't mind that movie. I thought it was alright. The only X-Men movie that I thought sucked was the last one, Dark Phoenix. That one was a disappointing movie, honestly. But all the other X-Men movies, they were pretty good, I thought. They did pretty well with the X-Men movies. But I think it's time to retire the X-Men movies. Don't keep doing more X-Men movies. It's time to stop, Marvel. You're running the franchise into the ground. But this game was good. It was a good beat 'em up game where you play as Wolverine, you go around, you slice people up, kill people. It's a beat 'em up style game. It's very violent. Definitely gory. But it's fun and it's definitely satisfying to play. If you're pissed off, this is a game to play. Here's a few more that I got from Matthew. So, shout out to Matthew. I know he's probably still watching my videos, so if you see this, Matthew, thank you. That's what I gotta say. Thank you very much. He was definitely one of the best eBay sellers that I ever came across for video games because the games were in flawless condition. Hubchew does a good job as well. But for some strange reason, he doesn't want to talk to me anymore. I don't know what his problem is. I have nothing against Hubchew whatsoever. It's stupid. Anyways, Ninja Gaiden Sigma, the first one. I know there's also Sigma too. I don't own that one. Hard as hell. I don't know what it is about the Ninja Gaiden games, but they are all hard. Like, this game is frustratingly hard. My gosh. Oh. But I did enjoy from what I played. But man, I could not beat that second boss. I got past the first boss of the game. When I moved on a few levels in, fought the next boss, I could not beat him. He was just ridiculously hard. Like just yeah. All the Ninja Gaiden games are just too damn hard. Ninja Gaiden for Xbox, that was a hard game. The Ninja Gaiden games on NES, I only played the first one, but that game was really hard. You know, I don't know why they're all hard. There's also one on the Wii U. That one's really hard. That's Ninja Gaiden 3, by the way. Yeah, hard. That's what I can say. It's hard. Heavenly Sword, another beat 'em up game, actually pretty good. Graphics definitely look dated according to today's standards. I mean, I've seen some PS3 games that still hold up, still look more like a PS4 game or damn close to it. But this one didn't really look like that. It stays as a PS3 game, an early PS3 game. But it's not a bad game. It's a beat 'em up game with a girl. I forget her name. Nariko? Narako? Nariko. Yeah, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Aloy from um, Horizon, except with red hair. You know, kind of reminds me of that. I'm surprised we never got a sequel to this game because this game was actually pretty good. You know, they really should make a sequel to this game. It would be nice to see that. Heavenly Sword 2 for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X if they put it out on Series X. Crisis 2, good first person shooter. Definitely fun. I also have the third one. I never played the first one though, because they originally only put the first one on PC. Now they have it for the Nintendo Switch with the second game and the third game, but the prices of it on eBay is not something I want to pay. I mean, it's like 80 to 120 for the three games on three separate Nintendo cartridge cards with the case, and it might come with some stickers and a poster. You know, it's just not something I want to pay, especially when I had the second and the third game already. You know, so unfortunately, I don't know if I'll ever get to play the first Crisis game unless I buy it on PC. But I don't. Excuse me. I don't have the. I don't have a PC currently. My PC is broken, and it wasn't mine. It was mom's. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't been playing my PC games, but in a while, you know. But anyways, good first-person shooter game. Moving on. Infamous 2, one of the best PS3 games in my opinion, besides the first Infamous and Uncharted's and The Last of Us and Heavy Rain and a bunch of others. It's a great game, great action game. Plays this guy named Cole who develops the stuff in his hands where he can throw fireballs at his enemies. And he can also fly too. He's given that ability too. So it's a good game. Definitely a fun one. I definitely recommend it if you have a PS3. It's one of the best games that you can get for the PS3. Killzone 2, good first person shooter. This one I have like this. I had another copy of this though that was complete though. Oh, I think I traded that one in, but I have it in this GameStop case. Oh, that was a stupid idea. I should have held on to that copy as well. I could have added this to the bundle on my eBay account because I have some PS3 games that I'm trying to sell that I don't want. And I could have added this to that. You know. Give me a second. Gotta blow my nose. I'm feeling a lot better than I have been, but I still got a little bit of mucus in me. Let's see, where are we at now? We're at Oh, we're at 25 minutes. Look at that. All right. I think we're going to speed it up a little bit. Just show a couple of games, not really talk about them. Doom 3. Black Site Area 51. Good first person shooter game. I didn't mind it. I don't know why some people hated this game, but I didn't mind it. SOCOM 4. This is a tactical shooter, just so you know. This is not like that Black Site Area 51, Call of Duty, or Uncharted. Uncharted is a third person shooter, and it has some adventure stuff in it too, and climbing. But yeah, this is a tactical shooter. It does not play at all like Call of Duty. It plays more like its own thing, you know. Another example would be Operation Flashpoint. That's another series that you know, it's more tactical. Spec Ops: The Line. .007 Legends. This game got a lot of hate when it came out. I guess it's because the graphics didn't look as amazing as they had hoped for. But the gameplay was still pretty fun. So this is a game that I don't understand the hate behind it. It's like Red Steel, you know, the first one. That got a lot of hate too. Ultimately, didn't hate that game either. So, you know, I didn't mind this game. I thought it was a pretty good James Bond game. And it had Daniel Craig, as you can see on the front there. You know, it was a good game. Good first-person shooter game. Don't believe the lies about it. Unreal Tournament 3, good game. Good first-person shooter game. Definitely worth checking out. It's also available on Xbox 360 and PC. Killzone 3, good game. Good first-person shooter. This is one I had to order from eBay because I couldn't find this game at any of the retro game stores in my area. Nobody had this game. So this one I had to buy from eBay. But it's a first-person shooter game. And this one's definitely overlooked. But it is pretty good. And that's Legendary. Legendary, yeah. You definitely want to check this one out. It's underrated. I feel it's an underrated first-person shooter game with some light horror elements and destructive environments. Definitely a good one. But it flies under people's radar when collectors out there like, I want some first-person shooter games, but I don't want Call of Duty. You know, here's one for you that you should check out that I feel is underrated. Kingdom of Amalur Reckoning. Never played this one. This is one I need to get to play. But I've heard good things about it. Because I heard Metal Jesus Rocks talk about this game. So I've heard it's good. It was a late release game too. So the graphics look damn good on the system. I think this game came out in 2014 or something. No, it says 2011. Well, I could have sworn it came out later than that. Nope, 2011. But the graphics hold up very well. You know, that was my last year of high school. You know, was 2011. Anyways, yeah, never played it. It's like a beat 'em up RPG type of game, I think. Oh yeah, this is one I got, and I think it was a stack of PS3 games. And I had this like case with it too. It's Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 Remix. I got this. Yeah. there's so many different Kingdom Hearts games. It's insane. But I mainly stick to the main line, you know, because there's Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and 3 for me. But this is good if you don't have the PS4 Kingdom Hearts game, because that one literally gave you every single Kingdom Hearts game. So if you don't have a PS4 but you have a PS3, this is the best version you could get, because you get the first one, the second one, Final Mix, Rechain of Memories, Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days, or slash 2 days, you know. So you get a lot of bang for your buck with this game, you know. And if you're wondering, it's a action RPG game, and it uses Disney characters mainly, except for the main kid that's in it, you know, that guy right there. But Donald and Goofy are always with you in the game, and your girlfriend later on, I guess, joins you. You know, it's a good series. It really is. Fight Night Round 3. This was in a lot with a bunch of other games. I get rid of sports games pretty quickly. I gotten rid of that Tiger Woods game. I sold that for $5. You know, so that's gone. It's not in my collection anymore. The NHL game's gone too. You know, because fuck those games. Those games are shit. Nothing that I'm interested in. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Good game. This is when Call of Duty was actually still relevant in my eyes. All the way up to, I think, Advanced Warfare, you could call it relevant. Although some would probably say Black Ops 3. But I would say probably Advanced Warfare. It was the last time I could get into Call of Duty. Then the series just died off for me because it's stale and it's not really a great innovative or intuitive first-person shooter franchise anymore. But this game was pretty good. The campaign was about 8 hours long, and the multiplayer in this game was fun. You know. All right, now we're on to the next stack here. This might be an hour video. Excuse me. Ridge Racer 7, good racing game, a lot of fun. I like the drifting in the game when you're moving to the right or the left. It kind of kind of swerve left to right a little bit. The controls don't suck though. They're actually pretty fair. They go in the directions that you want it to go into. So it's a fair and balanced racing game. Very good. Surprised we haven't got a Ridge Racer 8. We did get a Ridge Racer about 7 years ago or 8 years ago for PS Vita, but the game really sucked, you know, because it only had 3 or 4 levels in the game and didn't look good visually for a PS Vita game. It sucked. But, yeah, this is a pretty good game. I liked it. Good racing game. Good arcade style racing game. Here's one I got for $2 at J Street Video Games many years ago. I never get this game that cheap anymore. I'm pretty sure of it. It's Blades X or X Blades. It's an okay beat 'em up game. Nothing special. It's not as good as Blades of Time or that Kingdom of Amalur game that I showed earlier, but it's okay. Graphically, it looks terrible though for a PS3 game. Mortal Kombat, good game. Some people call this Mortal Kombat 9, you know, but it's a good beat 'em up. Sorry, it's a good fighting game. I really like playing as Raiden in this game. I kick ass with Raiden, you know. But you know, there's other characters like Quan Chi, Scorpion, Sub-Zero. You get Sonya Blade, Johnny Cage, Liu Kang, Kano, Reptile. Katana, and you get a bunch of other characters in this game as well. It's fun. It was also on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation Vita, and surprisingly ends up being one of the best games on the Vita. And that version you could also play as, I think, Freddy Krueger. And Oh yeah, that's right. This version you can play as Kratos. The 360 version you can play as Freddy Krueger, I believe. And the PS Vita version, I believe, had Kratos and Freddy Krueger as playable characters. The Whaleman with Vin Diesel. Not a bad driving game slash third person shooter. Beyond Two Souls, great game. Um, I didn't like the QTE moments in the game. That was annoying as hell. But overall, not a bad game. It's like an interactive movie, drama type of thing. Kind of plays out like a movie, but there's QTE moments and there's shit you got to do in the game to progress. You know, it's kind of like that. Heavy Rain's another one that's like this too. And I also do own that game if you're wondering. Turning Point, Fall of Liberty. Um, this game was okay. Nothing special. The graphics don't really look that good, and the gameplay wasn't that amazing for a first-person shooter game. It was okay. It was all right. Nothing, like I said, nothing spectacular about it. I do remember the beginning of the game. You know, where you're underground, people are shooting at you, and you're talking to people in a subway station a little bit. I remember that. Uh, it's an interesting start to a game. Later on, there was some ladders you had to climb and things like that in the second level. That's about all I remember. I just remember it not being the most amazing game for a first-person shooter. It was just okay. Gran Turismo 5. Yeah, I know. I already talked about it. I don't like Gran Turismo. I have this in my collection because it was in a lot of games, about 10 to 15 games. So I had no choice but to accept it. I could add this to the bundle online and sell it that way because I'm just not into the Gran Turismo games. But I have like 3 or 4 of them, you know. I guess it's because I'm a collector. That's why. There's some ones that my friend Dylan hooked me up with years ago, and I have most of them still. I held on to the last bunch of ones that he gave me. Borderlands pre-sequel. I also own this on Xbox 360, so I haven't really gone back to this version. But it's a good RPG shooting game. I definitely recommend it. I like the art style of the game and how it plays and everything. It's good. Valkyrie Chronicles, very good game. It's good RPG. Definitely worth checking out. It's got some third-person shooting in it as well, but I consider it more of an RPG because it's not like Max Payne, you know. So it doesn't have that feel to it. So it plays more like a Fallout game, except with anime characters. Think of it like that. So kind of like Fallout meets, we'll say like Fallout and Disgaea had a baby and they had this. You know, that's a way of comparing it. And it's pretty good. Here's the second one. Sniper 2 Ghost Warrior. Sniper Ghost Warrior 2. You know, the sniping games, I played the first two. I know the third one's on PS4. There's some good things to be said about this game, but sniping a lot in this game, I don't know. It wasn't for me really. I like shooting games, but this one just focused way too much on the sniping aspect of things. But but overall, it's an alright shooting game. It's nothing too crazy or too amazing, but it's still not a bad series. El Shaddai. Syndicate. This was one of those games that was like a PC game, and it was like a RTS type of game, a strategy game. They flipped it on its head and made it a first-person shooter game. And it's actually damn good. It's really good. I like the art style of it, like how it plays. It's a good first-person shooter game. Tons of shooting in it. Tons of fighting people. Like when you get close to them, you can stab them in the neck, or punch them in the face and then stab them in the neck or something. It's good. I liked it, and I like the art style of it. It's very graphic though, very bloody, for sure. Definitely earns its M rating. Blood and gore, intense violence, strong language, and suggestive themes. But yeah, it's good. It's also on Xbox 360 as well. Oh, here it is, finally. Crysis 3. WWE 2K14. I tried to get into this series, but I just don't like it as much as the SmackDown versus Raw games. It's not as good as the SmackDown versus Raw games because they were easy to pick up and play and actually fight. These they were changing up the controls in each game, so X button for punching ends up being like square button in the next game. I hated that. Why did they do that? They switched up every single game that you get of this series, the 2K series. And I just kept getting my ass handed to me, so I didn't really like this series. I had this and the 2018 one on PS4. I thought, $15, Mr. Deals, I'll give it a try. And I fucking hated it. I hated it. You believe it? I hated the game. They need to go back to the older games. Jackal Goldkick's right about that. When he said that in one of his videos, they need to go back to the older type of games like the SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain, and that other one, Shut Your Mouth, and Just Bring It. And the ones that were on the N64, they need to go back to those days. Because that's when they were really good. All the way up to the SmackDown vs. Raw series. After that, this series blows. It really does. It sucks. Quake Wars Enemy Territory. Not bad. It's a third-person shooter, though. They took the Quake franchise of it being a first-person shooter, and this one's not a first-person shooter. This one's a third-person shooter. Well, I will say that it was pretty hard. I never beat this game. I got like to the second or third level. I just couldn't get past it. I kept dying, but it wasn't bad. I will say that it wasn't a bad game overall, but it wasn't as good as the Quake 4 and all the other Quakes. Quake 1, 2, 3, and 4. First two being on well, let's see. The first one was on PC and was also on Sega Saturn, but it was also on the N64 and the PlayStation, I believe. And the second one was on PlayStation and the N64. The third one was on Dreamcast, Sega Dreamcast, and it was also on PS2. And then the fourth one on Xbox 360 and PC. Alright. Binary Domain. Good third-person shooter game, underrated. GameSack actually talked about this in a video and said it was a good series, or a good game rather, and they're right, it is a good game. Far Cry 3, this was a good game, I liked it, very fun game, definitely recommend that. The Far Cry series is awesome, good first-person shooter games. Alright, next up we have God of War Collection, which has the first two God of War games in there. Then I have God of War 3, God of War Ascension. So I've got all the God of War games right here in my collection. They're all excellent beat 'em up games with the God of War series, playing as Kratos. Pretty much a badass who kicks mythology ass, He fights like demons and two-headed dragons and things like that, And and this chick with big boobs. Like literally, there's a boss battle where he fights a chick with big boobs. Um, Although I think she's covered, but there is some nudity in that game. That's what is it? M rated because of the blood and gore, intense violence, nudity, language, and sexual content. Strong sexual content. So yeah, there probably is some nudity. There is definitely nudity in it. This actually I've had for a very long time. I got this, like, I think my last year of high school, I got this game and I just held on to it ever since. My mom got this game for me for a birthday, and I just held on to it. It was at the time when the 2011 version was out, but it was more money. Mom gave me $20 as a Christmas or a birthday gift, because she had already gotten some other gifts for me, but got this for me and gave me $20. Actually, she gave me $25 to cover the tax, and I went into the GameStop out there in Latham and asked the guy about 2011, but at the time the game was about $40, so I didn't have that. I had $25 on me. So I was like, "How much is the 2010 version?" He was like, "Oh, the 2010 version is $19.99 or $17.99 with GameStop Power Up Pro memory card," which I don't think I had at the time, so I paid $21.59 for it. But I like it. It's a good game, good wrestling game. I like the customization of your character. You could do that, make them look very much so like you. I was able to do that. Make my character 6'7", give him some glasses, well, sunglasses, a hat, and an attire. I wouldn't wear a shirt if I'm wrestling, but I would wear long pants, so I did that. Made them blue because it's my favorite color. And yeah, I've had him fight with my wrestling moves, punching and things like that, kicking. Yeah, good game, good career mode. Definitely fun to screw around a bit in, fatal four-way match, hell in a cell match, inferno match. So many matches in the SmackDown versus Raw games. They're just a lot of fun, A lot of fun to be had. Lots of hours of gameplay. Definitely a good time. White Knight Chronicles 2. Good game. Good RPG game. I need to get the first one. I don't have the first one, unfortunately. Alright. Dynasty Warriors 7 Extreme Legends. Exclusive to the PS3. This version was not on 360 or anything else. Venetica. A game that I really need to go back to because I played it, and from what I played, I made it to like the second chapter of the game, and then I stopped playing it. And it's been over 10 years, and I haven't gone back to it. I really should go back to this game. From what I played, it's an action RPG game about an orphan girl, kind of grows up in an orphanage, grows up, and that's about all I remember. Scarlet. You play as Scarlet. That's her name. But it's good from what I played. I like the graphics in it. Look good. A lot of fun. It's also available on Xbox 360. Midnight Club 4, Los Angeles. Good racing game. Time Shift. This was a good first-person shooter game for PS3 and Xbox 360. Definitely recommend that. Definitely a lot of fun. Like the environments, like the graphics of the game. They weren't like mind-blowing, but they weren't bad either. I like the shooting everything in sight. It's definitely a game to play when you're mad. Definitely fun. Sierra actually made this game, so that's pretty cool to see Sierra make another game in this era of time, because they made a ton of games on the PS2. I know they made Metal Arms Glitch in the System, which I also own, and I thought that was actually a pretty good game for a third-person shooter game with robots. This one, it has like some backstory about this guy. What's his name? Dr. Aiden Crone. That's his name. Yeah. It's got like this whole space type of thing going on, you know, like shit just went to hell in a handbasket. Like you're this guy, Dr. Aiden Crone is basically trying to, you know, navigate through areas. He talks to somebody on this little head earpiece thing, you know, guides you through certain areas and obstacles of the game, but you have to shoot everything that you encounter. So it definitely focuses on the space and the time and things like that, and it does a pretty good job overall. And it's a first-person shooter, so you can't go wrong. Unless you absolutely hate first-person shooter games. Alright, you got Lego Batman the video game. Good game. It's also available on Wii and PS2 and Xbox 360. And it might even be on the original Xbox. I know it's also on PSP because I own it on PSP as well. Batman Arkham Origins, good game. Definitely recommend it. This is a reason to own a PS3. Hell, it's even a reason to own a Wii U or a Xbox 360. To be honest with y'all, because it's a great game. All of them, great games. They redefined Batman. Made Batman the badass that he's supposed to be. Batman's also the reason why you watch my channel as well, because I'm a big Batman fan. So this game was excellent. Marvelous. And then, of course, being that I'm a Batman fanatic, I gotta have Arkham City and Arkham Asylum. All great games. Although I will say that this one is probably the most linear out of the three. The second one's a bit more open world with flying through the areas. You don't have to play the story mode when it tells you to. You can kind of go through it when you're ready. You know, fly through the city and then drop down and beat a bunch of guys up. Have like crowbars and bats and things like. They say stuff like, "I'm gonna beat the crap out of you. Let's get him. It's Batman. Let's beat him up. Let's kick his ass." You know, things like that. You know. But great series. Definitely worth buying if you have a PS3 or an Xbox 360 or a Wii U, but the first game's not available on the Wii U. Never Dead. This is basically a third-person shooter game where it's this guy right here, and you have help from that girl in the game too. She follows you around through the game. But the thing is, the guy you play as, if he gets like shot at, he loses his head, literally. But he doesn't die. You know, he can roam around without his head, have his head roll on the ground and things like that. So that was an interesting premise. And also, you got to use your head sometimes. I wasn't trying to make a pun, but you got to use your head sometimes to like open up doors and shit. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, not a bad game. Definitely underrated. And you can get this game for about $20 on eBay or $30 at the most. It's also available on Xbox 360. Faction Guerrilla, Mafia 2, Vanquish. Vanquish is a good third-person shooter game. I recommend this. This was fun. I like the art style. It's visually compelling and looks good. Plays really well. It plays like this dude's like some... Well, he's human, but kind of looks like a robot, you know, and go through the levels just like blowing shit up, blow up these giant like spacecraft robot type of things. Just was insane. The bullet time and everything, the game dodging bullets, like moving left and right, things like that. It was done well. I liked it. Very good game. Nice third person shooter game on the PS3 and the Xbox 360. Hang on a second. game. It's just a case. But it's MX versus ATV Untamed. I do own that for the Wii, though. Battlefield 3 Limited Edition. I at one point had the regular version, but I gave it to someone because I already owned that version on the Xbox 360, so I didn't keep that version. But this one I kept because it's part of a bunch of games, a lot deal I got on eBay, and plus it's the premium edition, so it's a special version of this game. The Last of Us, great game. Excuse me. It's a third-person shooter game with survival horror elements in it. Although I didn't get really scared playing this game, I thought it was a really great game with Joel and Ellie on a quest. First they hate each other, but they eventually learn to get along and work with each other during this apocalyptic world that's got very few survivors left. And there's these mutated freaks that are trying to take over the world. And there's some people that can't be trusted because they're out slaughtering human beings for no apparent reason, just because they're evil pieces of crap that want your money and your cars and your values and stuff. It's really good. I liked it. I thought the chemistry between Joel and Ellie worked very well, and that the gameplay was fun. The graphics looked really good, and the story of it was epic. It was definitely emotional. Definitely a reason to have a PS3 or a PS4, because I know it was a late release on PS3. They put it on PS4 and now it's on PS5, but I didn't pick up either version of it because I already played it on PS3 and beat the game 2 or 3 times, so I didn't want to go back and just rebuy it again. It would just be a waste of money, especially when I'm a collector, so I don't need those versions of the game. I liked it, thought it was a great game, and definitely my favorite PS3 game of all time. Hold on a second. There we go. Get rid of that pop-up. We have Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age 2, and Dragon Age Inquisition. I've got all the Dragon Age games. I know there's also Awakenings, but that was just an add-on to the first game, so I have no reason to buy that one. But these are all pretty good games. I gotta say that out of all of them, I think the third one is the best. But the first one's also pretty nice too. Although I didn't like the second one as much because they added a little bit of gay agendas in this game, and that was a turnoff for me because I'm a Christian, so I wasn't about that shit. That didn't need to be in there. The fighting in the game is good. There was a part in one of them, from what I remember, where you had to get from point A to point B and kind of had to, escort 1 or 2 other people to that spot, but you had to use some sort of strategy to get over from this one spot you were at to the next. That was kind of a pain in the ass, but overall, they're not bad games. Overall, they're decent RPG games. All right, Dungeon Siege 3, pretty good game on the PS3. Good action RPG. Mercenaries 2, World in Flames, good third-person shooter game. Also available on PS2 and the Xbox 360, and possibly the original Xbox. No, not a bad third-person shooter. Lost Planet 2, I didn't like this one as much because they got away from the bug aspect of the game. It wasn't as good as the first or the third one, but it's still not a terrible game. It's a good third-person shooter franchise. Max Payne 3, good third-person shooter game. Excellent game. He's a lot older in this game, but he's still the same old Max Payne. It's a good game. Recommend it. It's too bad Rockstar hasn't made a Max Payne game in like 15 years. They should make a 4th one, but I don't know. They're focused too much on Grand Theft Auto. Dark Sector, good third-person shooter game, not bad. Although, the blade ends up becoming a part of your body, and you end up, after I think the second or third level, having to use the blade more than the gun. And personally, I would rather use the gun over the blade. I don't really want to use the blade. I'd rather use that gun. But it becomes attached to your arm, and you don't really have much of a choice but to use it. It's a cheap one, too. You can get that for $10 or less. PS3 or Xbox 360. Resident Evil Revelations, good game. Really fun survival horror game. Not as scary as Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7. But it was still a good game. And you do have help in it from Chris Redfield. You play as Jill Valentine. The game, go through the levels and fight sand crabs, monsters, and zombies, in the game. And the only other thing that I didn't like is in this one, you have to scan items just to pick it up. That makes no fucking sense whatsoever, because the older Resident Evil games, you didn't have to scan shit. You know what I mean? You just go over to it, you pick it up, and you add it to your item block. None of that BS about, yep, scan it before picking it up. That was stupid. But other than that, pretty good. Mayday, Mayday! Could you please let me out? And I really didn't like that part, having to open up that door. Because I knew when I had to open up the door with the chain on it, and blow that chain with the gun right off, I had to fight a giant monster who was infected. Yeah, that I didn't really want to do, but you're forced to do that. The game kind of forces you to do stuff you don't want because it's a survival horror game. Oh, here it is. I was wondering where the hell this was. This never showed up in the, or maybe it was the 6th game. It never showed up in the the Resident Evil games that I talked about like 2 months ago. Or it might have been the 6th game, like I said. But this was a good game. I liked it. But not as scary as some of the older Resident Evil games or Resident Evil 7. So, it is also nice that you have someone to help you in the game, because the parts of the Resident Evil games, I thought they were very hard to beat with just you playing. Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian, decent license game. Not bad, not a bad beat 'em up style game. It's also available on the Wii and the PS2 and Xbox 360. It's really cheap. It's only about $10. Haze, very disappointing game. This could have been a lot better, honestly, for a first-person shooter game. They really botched this game. It really wasn't that amazing of a game. It was a letdown. It came out, and while people were hyped up about it, it failed. It just ultimately failed, and that's why they never went on to make a sequel of it, because it flopped. Same with Brink. I thought Brink was a shitty first-person shooter game as well. Next up, we have Dark Void. This game was okay. It wasn't bad. Some people fucking talk shit about this game, so it was just awful and sucks. But I thought it was okay. It's a third-person shooter game, but there are parts in the game where you have like a jetpack and you're flying around and blowing up other people and planes and other jetpacks and things like that. But overall, it wasn't crap. It was a decent game made by Capcom. It was alright. Oh, I stretched my leg there. Alpha Protocol. This game was okay, but the problem was the hit detection in the game is really bad. I mean, there were some people who were, just inches away from me, and I shoot at them, and the hit detection is so poor that it didn't even register them being shot at. That's pathetic. It was like a third-person shooter with, RPG elements in the game, but ultimately more of a third-person shooter in my eyes. But it was okay. It's probably like a 5 or 6 out of 10, but nothing higher than that because of the terrible hit detection, the storyline being subpar, and the gameplay was just all right. Just okay. Nothing, nothing mind blowing. You know, it's also on 360 as well. Starhawk. The Bureau, XCOM, The Classified, the only XCOM game that I really like, because I'm not into RTS games, I'm not into real-time strategy games, but this one's more of a third-person shooter with some, well, like cover-based system type of thing going on. It was pretty good from what I played. I put in like 10 to 15 hours into the game. I haven't played this in a while, but from what I did play of it years ago, I really enjoyed it. So, and that's because it was a third-person shooter, not a RTS game. Lego The Hobbit, this crappy cardboard case. I wanted to throw this away, but I figured, I might as well just keep it. You know, would have rather had it in the actual like case. I know some of these they came in with the case, but others didn't. The game is in there. I'll show you guys. See, so I do have the game, but this is bad because when you stick it in there, it could very well scratch your disc. This is not ideal for a PS3, and they went the lazy route with this and the Infamous towards the end of the life cycle of the PS3. Like, we're giving us these crappy cardboard cases. For what reason, I don't know. Sniper Ghost Warrior. I already talked about it. Eat Lead. Good third-person shooter game. It's also on Xbox 360, but there was one part I could not get past. And it was that part where you had to get stuff and you kept shooting at these guys coming your way and you keep getting waves of enemies. There's something you're supposed to do to unlock a door to get it open, but I could never figure out how to get that open so I could cross that bridge. That I could not figure out. I don't know what to do, so I got stuck. But it has a lot of pop culture references with movies and stuff, Star Wars, Star Trek, um, and some other stuff too. TV shows and things like that. So he plays as Matt Hazard. That's who that is on the front. It was interesting. Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection. This was a good compilation game with a bunch of like Sega Genesis games on a PS3 disc. It's also available on Xbox 360. It's a good collection of games. You get all types of games on here. You get Alter Beast. You get the Golden Axe series. You get the Streets of Rage series. You get all the Sonic games on this collection. You also get Alien Storm, Thunderblade, and you get a bunch of other titles on this game like Shinobi 3 and Revenge of Shinobi, and that other Shinobi game, Shadow Dancer. And like I said, there's over 40 titles on this collection. It's a great collection. I definitely recommend it if you have a PS3 or an Xbox 360. I have Rocksmith right here, and Rocksmith 2014 edition. I haven't played either one of these because I don't have the guitar, but I'm sure that they're a lot of fun. They play very similar to Rock Band. Oh, look at, there's the duplicate. Little Big Planet 2. Avatar, the game. This was a good licensed game. I talked about this in the top 15 movie license games. This is definitely a reason to own a movie license type of game. I thought it was a really good game overall. Based on the first movie, they never made the second one into a game, Way of Water. That was never made into a game, but they did make the first one into a game, and overall they did a pretty good job as playing as the avatars, going around with the staff, whacking shit, whacking enemies with that staff. And also, you get to ride dragons in the game, and there's a little bit of climbing elements, like grabbing onto like a tree branch or something, or trying to get from one spot on a rope to the other side, things like that. But it was done pretty well. I don't know why people hate this game. Some people hate it. There isn't a lot of people that love this game, but overall, I didn't really hate this game. Didn't think it was a bad licensed game. Whoops. Walking Dead Season 1, very good game. But I will say that I didn't like the language in this game. I mean, there's too many blasphemies against the Lord in this game. This is just ridiculous with the language. Like, it offends me as a Christian. All those GDs and JCs that they put in this game. Really a turnoff. But This game's like a survival horror game where Lee and Clementine end up working together. Clementine was like this little 9-year-old girl living in a house with her. Well, her mom went out on like a leave of absence, like to do something, and she had a girl watching over her, but she ends up infected. And then Clementine ends up in the treehouse, is playing with herself, not trying to be sexual or anything. Um, but then comes across Lee, who's a survivor, and they become friends. And he also saves her life because the girl, her babysitter, ends up infected, and he had to kill her, basically. And then later on, they team up with like 6 or 7 people in a group, and they decide to work together to get food and shelter and a place where they can be safe away from the zombies. It's a good franchise. Definitely understand why it has a place in a lot of people's hearts. They really liked this series. It was good. It was better than that crappy survival instinct game that they made for PS3 and Xbox 360. That game sucks. That game's pretty forgettable. But the Telltale series definitely was good because of the art style and the gameplay and the storyline of the game as well. But definitely not for. I wouldn't recommend this to Christians, honestly, because of its violence and brutality and language. Strong language in the game. Tomb Raider, great reboot. Definitely a fun title. It was also ported to the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One later on, like a year or two later, because it was a late release. But I really enjoyed this game. It was a really good game overall, and I really had a lot of fun playing it. I definitely recommend it. I did beat the game, by the way. I did beat the first one. Still going through Rise of the Tomb Raider, and I do have Shadow of the Tomb Raider, but I haven't played it yet because I'm still working on Rise of the Tomb Raider. I got very far in that game, but never beat it. Final Fantasy 13, I have it in this generic case. I got it with a bunch of other games, like 10 to 15 games a couple years ago when I bought a lot or two of PS3 games. Because I wanted to boost the collection, and this is how it came. It's a good RPG game. Escape from Dead Island, haven't played it yet. I look forward to playing it eventually. I played the first two and thought that they were pretty good. Saints Row the Third. Not a huge fan of the Saints Row games. Played very similar though to Grand Theft Auto though. We're almost done. Got about 15 more games. Ratchet and Clank All for One. I know Bakio 6 Slime is a big fan of the Ratchet and Clank games. She has some of the Ratchet and Clank games. I had the ones on the PS3. And I also own this one. I know there's also a Crack in Time and Tools of Destruction for PS3 as well. They're good platformer / third-person shooter games on the PS3 and the PS2. And I know there's also one on PS5 as well. Rift Apart. Yeah. I don't know, I guess I kind of fell out of love for the Ratchet and Clank games. I played the first 3 on the PS2. I beat the first one. The second one, I got very far but never beat it. And the third one pissed me off. And Tools of Destruction also pissed me off. But never played a Crack in Time. And this one, I've to be honest, I've never played it. I have it, but I never played it. Sonic All-Star Racing Transform. Very good racing game. Go-kart racing game with Sonic characters. Definitely a fun one. I also own the first one on 360. Prototype, very good game. I recommend this. This was a lot of fun for PS3 owners in general. Good beat 'em up game. Plays very similar to Infamous, but a bit more violent than Infamous. Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit, good game. Good racing game. And I also have Need for Speed Rivals, and I got this game for free because I found it in the trash. Couldn't believe it. I found this game one day in the trash. It's crazy. And the disc, surprisingly, wasn't in bad shape. You can tell. It wasn't in bad shape. Like, I never would have thought I'd find a PS3 game in the trash somewhere. It's crazy. Someone must not have had a PS3 or something. Was like, you know what? I don't want this game anymore. I'll just throw it away. And threw it away. And I picked it up and I was like, wow. Why would they throw this away? I understand throwing away Madden or FIFA Soccer 14 or something, because those games are not my cup of tea. But why this? This is actually a pretty fun racing game, arcade style racing game. Sonic Generations, this broke through the time where Sonic was having a lot of shit games. A lot of games in the Sonic franchise that sucked. Like Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, which really sucked, and some of those Sonic games on the Wii, like Sonic and the Black Knight and Sonic and the Secret Rings, which were garbage. You know? But this one was actually pretty good because Sonic had the speed and everything they were supposed to have, collecting of the rings, and they made it like 2D and a half. They didn't really make it a 3D game. They focused more 2D and a half, broke it down a little bit, made it fun with the speed and everything. So they did a really good job with that. So ultimately, this was a good game. This and Sonic Colors were the best Sonic games that we got during this generation, because pretty much, you know, those three that I mentioned in Sonic Unleashed weren't really that good. Resistance 2, this was a good first-person shooter game where you kill aliens in the game. It was really good. Very violent, bloody, and gory, but definitely fun and rewarding. Beating this game, you know, good game. I did beat that game, by the way. Fuel, pretty fun racing game. Demon Souls, this game is hard as shit. This game will kick your ass, man. This is not a game for the faint of the heart. It's just like Dark Souls. It's a beat 'em up style game with got swords and stuff, but it is fucking hard. Really hard game. Blaze Blue Continuum Shift. Good fighting game. Definitely recommend that. You have a PS3 or Xbox 360. It's a good fighting game. Watch Dogs. This is also available on PS4, so I recommend getting that version over this version. It's also on Xbox 360 and Xbox One, but it is a good game. We play as Aiden Pierce. He goes through the levels and he's hacking into people's lives. You can literally stand outside with a phone, and there'll be multiple people going down the streets, and you already know their first and last name and a little bit about who they are and their backstory and where they live, which is crazy that you could actually do that as a hacker. He's not really a hero. He's more of a vigilante in the game, but overall the game was really fun. It also has some third-person shooting elements in it, and Sherlock Holmes type of vibes, but he's not really a Sherlock Holmes guy, if that makes sense. And also some driving elements in the game as well. So, good game overall. I liked it. I did also like the second one too, but Legions I never bothered with because I heard it sucked. I heard it was a glitchy mess. Heavy Rain, great game, great story in the game. One of your sons is killed, and you're like a married man with a wife and 2 kids, but your son gets hit by a car, and the other son you do your very best to protect, but one day he ends up kidnapped by an evil man. And he's a cop, you know, basically. So you're in search of an origami killer is what he is. You're trying to figure out who killed who and who kidnapped your other son, you know. And then in parts of the game, you actually do have QTE moments in the game, which annoyed the shit out of me. I didn't like going through the mall area and all of a sudden having like a panic attack or something, having to take my meds, but it's like really frustrating to do that shit. You know, trying to figure out how to put the fucking like pills in your mouth. That was annoying. I didn't like some of those QTE moments in the game. But overall, it was a good interactive movie, and I did enjoy this game overall. I thought it was one of the best games on the PS3. There are parts where you do play as your wife as well. Just throwing that out there. It's a good game. Good interactive movie type of drama type of game with a little bit of shooting in it and melee combat. Brothers in Arms Hell's Highway. Good game. Good first-person shooter. Bulletstorm. This was a good first-person shooter game. I like this. It was good. Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, great game in the Metal Gear franchise. Definitely one of the best games on the PS3. I highly recommend it if you have a PS3. It's excellent. Dishonored is a good action-adventure game. I like it. It's good. Go around, you got guns, and you also get swords and stuff. You go around murdering people, you know. It was a good game overall, really fun. It's also available on Xbox 360 as well. Here I have Uncharted 3, and I also have Uncharted 2. Great Uncharted games, a lot of fun. I beat all three of those. The only one I haven't beaten is Uncharted 4. I haven't finished that. And The Lost Legacy, that one I haven't finished either. That one I've come close to finishing. As well as the fourth one. Alright, we got Nier. I need to get the sequel. I don't have Nier Automata, but that's a good one. Here I've got the first Mode of Storm. I actually have 2 copies of it. And I have the third one, Apocalypse. I don't have the second one, Pacific Rift. I'm missing that one. But these were good racing games with a little bit of combat in them. I mean, you could kick people off their bikes and stuff. And you can kind of crash into other cars to take first place. I like the third one a lot more than the first one because the controls are a little bit slippery in the first game. But the third one really got good. You know, not as, you know, shitty of controls and stuff. But they were both pretty good games nonetheless. Nevertheless, I should say. Oh, Tony Hawk's Proving Ground. You let me down. I hated this game. It wasn't a very good game at all. Could have been a lot better. It just seemed lifeless and flat. I didn't like it. It was a terrible game. Vampire Reign, Altered Species. This game kind of sucks. In my opinion, it's not a very good game. I mean, you gotta be fast. You know, these vampires in the game, they sneak up from behind you. Or if they see you, they just come charging right after you. You barely have time to react. You always end up killed. Every single time. It's just, I hated it. They made it a stealth game. They should have made it more of a third-person shooter, but they made it a stealth game. It sucked. It didn't work. Alright, last 3 that I have. Actually, I think I have 2 more I'm going to have to get. Dead Rising 2. Not the most amazing game in the world, but Jack and Goldkick seems to really like the Dead Rising games. I think that they're alright for zombie games, but I don't like them as much as he does. I prefer Dead Island or Resident Evil over... or Resident Evil, or Dead Island. I prefer those 2 over Dead Rising, I meant to say. Grand Theft Auto 5, never played it. Probably won't. I'm Christian. I try to stay away from that. And Dirt 2. I'm not a big fan of the Dirt series, to be honest with y'all. The easy left, easy right. Just not a big fan of that. But I guess they're okay if you like the dirt racing games. I saw Dirt 5 from PS5, and it did look interesting. I did like the graphics and everything. But ultimately, I just didn't feel like picking that up. I just wasn't big into the Dirt series. I tried the second and third game and just couldn't get into it. Hold on a second. Oh, man. Oh, my back is getting cramped, too. Alright. I also do have Operation Flashpoint Dragon Rising, which is a third-person shooter game, or first-person shooter game, but it's, like I said, it plays very similar to like SOCOM. It's not like Call of Duty at all. And I do have Persona 4 Arena, which takes the RPG formula and flips it on its head and makes it a fighting game. So that's kind of cool to have that. I got this from TJ Buys and Sells, both of these games. So that's basically my PS3 collection. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I know it was long, but we had a lot to cover here for PS3. You know, I have a lot of games for the PS3 and the PS2. So, but anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you for watching. As always, Larry the Batman fan signing off. God bless you all, and take care. Peace.